Hi, this is Marvelous Mark here from the Off the Rope Show with your ROH review for February 25th, 2012. The beginning of the show started out with the main event, with clips from the main event from last week's show between Charlie Haas and Mark Briscoe, with Jay Briscoe tied to the ring post. He was handcuffed, but it's basically a recap of what happened. Charlie Haas nailed Mark Briscoe to the chair and paid Shelton's fine of $5,000, and he paid his own fine of $5,000. So that was about what happened there, and that led into this week's program. The show starting off with promos from both the Young Bucks and Caprice Coleman and Cedric Alexander. There's a tag team match between them two, which led off the program. If you're a fan of high spots and that kind of thing, well, this is the match for you, because there was plenty of them. It was a really good match. There was a lot of action, and the Young Bucks won with the more bang for your buck move, and that's good. They are the number one contenders, so you gotta have them look strong to go up against the Briscoes on the Young Wolves Rising show on March 4th, the ROH 10th anniversary. So it was a good one for them, and it solidifies them as your number one contenders. So that's what you needed to do there. The match did what it needed to do, and made the Bucks a viable contender to win the tag team titles. And then next we have a backstage segment with the MSC Limited and Tommaso Ciampa. Veda Scott asks Nana about a prediction for the match, but Tommaso Ciampa interrupts, and he basically tells Jay Lethal he wants him to overachieve and be better than he's ever been before. And he's rooting for him to win in his match later on with Davey Richards, because he wants to have a title shot with him at the pay-per-view, not necessarily a TV title match. He wants a chance for the world title, which I can't blame him there. And basically he just says he's going to be the first undefeated champion in ROH history. And then we have a little ad promoting the 10th anniversary show at the Hammerstein Ballroom. Kevin Kelly talks to the Young Bucks about their title match against the Briscoes. It's a pretty short little segment, and that's about all there is to that one. Okay, next you have an in-ring interview with Kevin Kelly and the Briscoe brothers. Basically, they talk about their issues with 3 different tag teams. They talk about their match against the Young Bucks at the 10th anniversary show at the Young Wolves Rising. And then they talk about the House of Truth, and then they talk about Haas and Benjamin, the wrestling's greatest tag team. First of all, they just talk about the Young Bucks making them their personal bitches, which that's a good thing for them. This was a good interview. They also talk about the House of Truth and how Truth Martini still owes him $5,000, and the big man's going to beat it out of him. Then when they go to Florida and face Haas and Benjamin, the wrestling's greatest tag team, somebody's going to be leaving a body bag. It was a good interview. It's a pretty standard interview by the Briscoe brothers. And at the end of it, they tell them they're going to have to man up, man up, man up, and that kind of thing. So it was a good segment. Then next we go inside ROH, and they start talking about the Kevin Steen TV debut from last week, and when Jimmy Jacobs came out to attack Steen after his match against Andy Ridge. Steve Corino was also in the ring. He was doing commentary on the match. They both do a promo about their match. Jacobs talks about, or he asks when evil meets evil, talking about last week he referred to them as the 2 most evil men in ROH history. He goes, is there really a winner? And then Steen puts it over as well. He just talks about he tells Jacobs he wants him to make him bleed and that kind of thing. But it was a good segment. And then there's another match that they just announced on on this segment is the return of the All Night Express against Wrestling's Greatest Tag Team. Red Titus talks about how he's coming back from after his knee injury, and they're going back after the Young Bucks. They want to prove something to themselves first, prove that they're still at the top of their game. By taking on Haas and Benjamin, they still have an issue with them, I guess. And then they talk about the Showdown in the Sun pay-per-view on March 30th and 31st in Fort Lauderdale. And then after that, they talk about next week's main event, which will be a #1 contender match for the ROH World Title with Eddie Edwards against Roderick Strong, and the winner gets a shot at Davey Richards at the Showdown in the Sun pay-per-view. Next, you had a short backstage segment with Dyer, Eddie Edwards, and Adam Cole, and basically just talks about their issues with Davey Richards and Kyle O'Reilly, and just basically talked about their match that they're going to have at the 10th anniversary show. And then there's another promo about the Showdown in the Sun pay-per-view, and where Kevin Kelly talks to Kevin Steen, and basically what Kelly told him is that the only way that Kevin Steen's going to get a world title shot is over Jim Cornette's dead body. So this is a good segment because he says, "Oh, I got some killing to do then." So I thought that was good. And finally, we get to the main event, which is for the ROH World Title. It's TV champion Jay Lethal against the ROH World Champion Davey Richards. My thoughts about this match is that it was really good. Actually, I mean, there was a lot of hard-hitting action in it. I mean, you had many near falls. You had many attempts at submissions, and you had it kind of incorporated a bunch of different storylines in the same match. Because first thing you had about halfway through the match, Tommaso Ciampa comes out and he sits in a chair at ringside, and then after that you got Kyle O'Reilly coming out to try to keep Davey Richards focused on the match, and then later on in the match, the House of Truth comes down with Truth Martini and Roderick Strong and Unbreakable Michael Elgin. And then even later on in the match, you have Eddie Edwards and Adam Cole coming down. And then finally, what happens? It finally all breaks down. Everybody's fighting outside, except for Ciampa's still sitting there in his chair. But after a while, Adam Cole gets G Lethal goes for his finisher, the lethal injection. Michael Elgin actually throws Adam Cole into Jay Lethal, and Davey Richards hits a boot to the head, and that match is over. But that was a good match, I thought. Okay, my final thoughts on the show. I thought both matches were good. The show itself was good. The match with the Young Bucks and Coleman and Alexander, there's a lot of high spots in that match. There's a lot of good action. If you're a fan of that kind of stuff, it was a good match for you. And I thought the Young Bucks should have won, and they did. Then the other match with Richards and Lethal, it kind of tied in three different storylines, because you got Lethal and Ciampa, who are fighting at the 10th anniversary show. Then you got Edwards and Cole against Richards and O'Reilly, which will be the main event of that show. And then you got Eddie Edwards and Roderick Strong in a #1 contender match next week, so that kind of tied into that. But other than that, the show was good. They could have done it with a lot of the filler crap, though. I get that they want to promote their pay-per-views and that kind of thing, but it's just like, you don't need to do so much. You should. I think you could have fit a third match. In there into that show, but anyway, just let me know what you thought down below, and if you haven't subscribed up above, please do so, and please leave your comments down below. And I'm Marvelous Mark. Since 2010, on the Off the Rope Show, we've been entertaining ourselves while you've been watching us. Good night, everybody.